Good afternoon to all of you. I really do appreciate this invitation, and I really do appreciate the fact that, if I understood correctly at least, I'm the first politician or government official to be invited from abroad. Well, brave decision, and I hope that the fact that this is the last talk for this semester has nothing to do with me being invited. We're just at the beginning, not at the end, so we never know what kind of risks we take. First of all, I want to say that I'm really honored to be here in Denmark, because it's pretty strange when you are a foreign minister of a European Union member state and you visit another EU member state and you greet your colleague as you have never seen each other, but you meet on a regular basis at least once or twice a month. So when we start now, I officially welcome you. Everyone feels it's a little bit strange. So with the European integration, one of the most important achievements is that we talk to each other on a weekly or a monthly basis. But since when we meet on these occasions regularly, then we hardly speak about any kind of bilateral issues. And that could give us the wrong impression that we should not speak about that, because they go automatically. We are countries in the same integration, we are close to each other, we have much more things to be shared than what would divide us. But we should not let these kind of feelings to make us too comfortable. Because yes, even if we are members of the same European integration, we have to deal with the bilateral issues. And I can tell you that it is good news that we don't really have bilateral issues. Or at least we don't have open bilateral issues. We have many things in common. And when you come to Hungary and you say that you are Danish, then you can be sure that Hungarian people will have nothing against you, because there's no negative context being themed to Denmark. Denmark is absolutely handled positively, and one of the reasons for that is, and about this we should speak much more, that Danish companies and Danish economy plays a very, very important role when it comes to the performance of the Hungarian national economy. Because the Danish investors play a role of utmost importance, employing already more than 15,000 people back in Hungary. And the biggest Danish companies have already footprints in Hungary. And I have to tell you that we are very proud that we are the only place on the globe where the Duplo bricks are being produced. I have to tell you that we are very honored that Grundfos made the decision to locate the global manufacturing hub of the company in Hungary. And we are very honored that Coloplast already employs around 1,500 people in the country. And we are honored that the pharmaceutical companies of yours found Hungary as a place to be worth to be put into consideration when it comes to high added value investments. So one of the reasons of my visit here is economic, of course, and that's why I'm very happy that I was invited to Copenhagen Business School to deliver some remarks here. As the Dean has rightly pointed out, my position officially in English is Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade, by the way, which does have nothing to do with my Hungarian title. Because the ministry which I lead has a name, Ministry of External Economic Relations and Foreign Affairs. And here sequencing counts. And the reason why in English I'm Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade is that, don't take it too personally, so let's say one of my predecessors thought that being Minister of Foreign Affairs and something is much more prestigious than being Minister of something else and Foreign Affairs. Although I don't really share this point of view, because Hungary has a very open economy. Our export over GDP ratio reached 100% this last year. The FDI stock in the country reached 85 billion euros. So whatever we can perform on the field of export and on FDI influences our overall economic performance very, very straightforward. And that's why when I came here, I have not only taken advantage of this visit from political perspective, because we have a very good cooperation, friendship with your foreign minister, Christian, but I try to take advantage of this in economic perspective, and we have made some agreements already today, this morning, with some leading companies of yours about further investments in Hungary. But I was not invited to speak about the bilateral economic cooperation, as far as I understand at least, but how we see the situation in Europe. And I guess Danish media has broadcasted some of our actions and decisions recently, and I guess that it caused some, let's say, mixed opinions in Denmark as well. I've met all of them already since I met some members of parliament. I've been a member of the Hungarian parliament since 2002 already, so I usually think it's very important when I go abroad to meet parliamentarians as well. So I met representatives of almost all parties in the Folketing, and well, the opinions about what I delivered there was, let's say, mixed. This is the politically most correct way how I can put this forward. Although I think political correctness is one of the reasons what kills European competitiveness and endangers future perspectives of European Union. By the way, I was asked to say a couple of words about how we see the situation in Europe. I would like to start with a sentence which could have been taken as an exaggeration a couple of years ago. And this sentence reads that Europe has never had to face so many and so serious challenges at the same time since the conclusion of the Second World War than currently. A couple of years ago, it would have been a simple exaggeration. Currently, it's a modest description of the situation. And I would give you 5 arguments in this respect. There's a war on the territory of Europe. Regarding energy security, we have not had any kind of forward progress recently. Regarding economy, Europe has been lagging behind in the global competition. Migration is the most serious challenge ever European Union has had to face since her foundation. And threat of terror has never been that high since, let's put it this way, since the conclusion of the Cold War than currently. 5 major reasons which we have to address. 5 major challenges for which we have not found the common European solution so far, and 5 major reasons and challenges which have direct interaction towards each other. Since we are here in a business school, and I'm a graduate of economy from the Budapest University of Economic Science, which you have cooperation with, allow me to start with the economic challenges Europe has been facing according to our understanding. I would like to put here forward 3 figures, and you don't need to be a student of the business school to understand that this way is totally unsustainable. European Union has like 8% of the share of Earth's population. 8%. We produce like 15 or 16% of world's GDP. And we distribute 50% of the world's social welfare spending. And you don't need to be an economist to understand that it's unsustainable even on the medium run. And we have to change this. And when it comes to economic competitiveness, I would like to draw your attention to the fact that currently there's a global competition or global race going on among regional and inter-regional trade and economic integrations. You see the United States of America building the Trans-Pacific Partnership, having summing up like 30% of world's GDP and around 30% of world trade. You see China's extensive economic policy. You see the Arab countries, the Gulf countries, uniting their efforts in order to be stronger in the African and Latin American markets. And on the other hand, Europe has been lagging behind when it comes to the transatlantic trade and investment partnership, or at least we are way behind where we could or we should be. And when it comes to our cooperation with Russia, actually the political circumstances and the political conditions are not there to enhance. But if you raise a question whether would it be logical to maintain the possibility of a pragmatic cooperation, of a rebuilding of a pragmatic cooperation between Russia and Europe, Russia and European Union, I would say yes, that would be logical. Because we just should put into consideration the natural resources being there at disposal in Russia and the highly developed technological solutions here in Europe, in the European Union. That would be a natural way of cooperation which could enhance European competitiveness. The problem is that the political conditions are not there now. Since, and here I would like to come to the second point, since there is a war in Ukraine. If any of us had said the sentence a couple of years ago that there would be a war on the territory of Europe, I think it wouldn't have been taken seriously. But currently this is the case. We have a war in Europe. And we are a neighboring country to Ukraine. We have 150,000 Hungarians living in Ukraine. And so if there's a country on the globe which considers it as of utmost importance to have a politically and economically strong and stable Ukraine, this is Hungary. We stand for the territorial integrity and to the sovereignty of Ukraine. But in the meantime, I think we have to pose the question to each other or to ourselves whether the decision of sanctions proved to be successful and useful or not. And I think that there should be a debate without emotions, debate based on rationality, debate without bashing each other, debate without saying that whoever is a little bit out of the mainstream is a Russian spy. If we are able to have an open and pragmatic debate, we should come to a conclusion whether decision of sanctions have proved to be successful or not. Though we have to make a decision first what we consider as success. Do we consider it as a success that we caused so many damages to European economies? Do we consider it as a success that Danish farmers had a huge loss on agricultural sales to Russia? Do we consider it as a success that European companies have lost $4.5 billion of export in the last 2.5 years to Russia? Do we consider it as a success that the Russian economy is struggling? Do we consider it as a success that the economies of the former Soviet republics have been suffering? Because the European Union sticks herself to another measurement of success. Because we said that sanctions are tightly linked to the full implementation of the Minsk agreements. Now my position is, and I don't think that there will be a debate about that, the Minsk agreements are not fulfilled, not complied with. And I think here there will be some homework for both sides, or let's say all sides of the conflict. But my question is whether the sanctions have contributed to fulfillment of Minsk agreements, or actually they had the opposite impact. And I guess I'm not going to be the appropriate one to answer this question. That's why what we think would be necessary here is to have an open and pragmatic debate about the future of the sanctions. And there's one thing which we will never accept actually, and this is the automatic rollover of the sanctions. He's the head of the Hungarian Investment Promotion Agency, so we have to figure out whether he doesn't agree with me or he has a claim. So the question we have to pose is whether sanctions brought us closer to the Minsk agreements or not. And this is something which should be debated, and which we would never accept is the automatic rollover of the sanctions under carpet made by deputy permanent representatives or whoever. We need to speak about this on the highest possible level, on the level of the heads of government and heads of state, because if there's an important issue from the perspective of the future of the European economy, then this is an important one. So I would leave it there, and I would say that the war in Ukraine is a major challenge, and until the end of June, we need to come to an agreement about whether sanctions should be rolled over or not. And when it comes to energy, I'm coming from Central Europe. In Central Europe, we are pretty much dependent on Russian energy sources. So this is one of the reasons why we tell our Western European friends to please understand that in Central Europe we cannot afford not to be in a continuous discussion with Russia. Because we have 85% of our gas import coming from Russia, almost 100% of our oil import coming from Russia, and exactly 100% of nuclear fuel coming from Russia. And we are not the only one in the region. So in this respect, if there are countries who consider diversification of energy routes and resources important, then we are the ones. But unfortunately, in this respect, nothing really has happened recently. You might remember the issue of the South Stream pipeline. South Stream pipeline would have delivered gas from Russia through Bulgaria, Serbia, Hungary, Slovenia to Austria. That project would have been a real diversification of routes, of gas to Central Europe. But this project was cancelled because of a very, very heavy pressure of European Commission, saying that that project would have been against European solidarity because that would have bypassed Ukraine, and that was not economically feasible. And afterwards, we were reached out by some friends of ours not to take part on last year's St. Petersburg Economic Forum, just to send a clear signal. Okay, we complied with it. And then we read the news that on the St. Petersburg Economic Forum, leading Western European energy companies like Aeon, Shell, Engie, and the others signed an agreement with Gazprom about Nord Stream 2, which, by the way, bypasses Ukraine, but from the north, not from the south. And that might be a debate about whether it's economically feasible or not. And what the European Commission does? Nothing. So our problem is the double standards. If there's a problem with South Stream bypassing Ukraine, then there should be a problem with Nord Stream bypassing Ukraine. And there's no real difference between the two projects, unless the list of the participating companies. But that should not be a matter of judgment on European level. So what I say here is that energy diversification is something which we have to address. Be happy, we understand that Denmark builds a gas pipeline together with Poland, Baltic. We understand that there are some projects regarding interconnections between EU member states, but we should do much, much more. Because the region in Central Europe is still defenseless in this respect. And then I come to migration and threat of terror. Threat of terror has not been that worse in Europe since the conclusion of the Cold War than currently. I remember times when we were watching television and watching scenes from Middle East, and we were pretty sure that these kind of developments would never happen in Europe. And here we are standing now when there are no-go zones in Europe, where police is not brave enough to get in, and we have still not found the common answer to the challenge which is called migration. And here I would like to speak very directly and honestly. What we have been facing here is not a refugee crisis. This is a migration crisis, challenge of migration. And I think that it's unacceptable that people should or could cross borders whenever and wherever they want. Violation of borders is violation of sovereignty as well. And my question is whether we can consider someone as a refugee who comes to the territory of our country by violating our border from a territory of another safe country. Whether the same kind of international regulations apply to those people who really flee from war-torn zones to a neighboring safe country than to those people who just march through, not dozens, but a series of safe countries, just to come to a place where they want to live. I think that in order to be able to address this challenge, we have to give up political correctness and we have to give up hypocrisy in Europe. And we have to speak very honestly and very straightforward. Because right to a safe life is a fundamental human right, which must be respected. But to choose which country you want to live in is not a fundamental human right. And no one should be authorized to violate a border between two safe countries just because he or she would like to reach Sweden or Germany. You know, in this case, we had a lot of debates within the European Union. We had a lot of accusations to be faced. We were even compared to the darkest dictatorships in the last century by some of our neighboring countries. By the way, those prime ministers and chancellors who have put forward such kind of announcements are not in position anymore. But facts are facts, and they happen. They have happened. Our position is that the answer to migration crisis must be a complex one, and because this is a complex challenge. But I understand that in the world of modern media, where you have to put there everything, summarize everything in 180 characters, and whatever you cannot summarize in a 30-second soundbite doesn't exist. The most exciting thing is to say that Hungary built a wall on the border, which is, by the way, not true because we built a fence, just to be fair. which makes a difference because our Austrian friends who have built fence on their border, they say it's not a fence, it's gates with wings. I mean, this is what I say, hypocrisy and political correctness, which we should avoid in the future just to understand each other. So, what would be our answer? Number one, everything should start with protection of the borders. Because we find it unacceptable that some countries in Europe, by will, by the way, are violating the common obligations of ours and let people go through their borders whenever and wherever they want. And actually they deliver people from one border of them to the other to put the burden on the shoulders of the next country. We think that obligations should be fulfilled and met there as well. All of us have obligations to defend our own borders. Because we speak about a lot of threats and concerns raised by migration, but there's one type of threat which is hardly emphasized, and this is the economic threat because of migration. Here we are in CBS, the right place to speak about it. Because our fear is that migration could kill the Schengen zone. Because Schengen zone, the existence of Schengen zone is based on two pillars, two consensus, let's put it this way. One consensus is that we have no control inside, we can move freely. The other consensus